August the 23rd, 2022. Guys, you're looking at the latest from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. And there's three systems that are marked out on the map. Now, the one in the center is the one that came through the Azores a few days ago, but it now has a 0% chance of cyclone formation in 5 days. It's basically winding down. And that's why you do not see a forward map of where it may go. Now, there's one coming off of Africa that has a 20% chance, and that's a pretty good chance being that far on land. My problem with this one is that it's also going to cross through the Azores. That's a little far north for anything to get to the U.S. Not impossible, but usually it'll either get caught up in the high-pressure system or be moved into the North Atlantic when it's that far north. This one could be a problem. Right now, it's only a 20% chance of development, and we're going to look at satellite images. But because of the time of the year, and notice how far south it is compared to the other storms, it's going to move up into the Caribbean. If it maintains this track, you're going to have problems. Jamaica, somewhere in Cuba, somewhere possibly along the Yucatan. We'll just have to let it play out. But we're getting into that time of the year that we should, again, September 15th is the peak of hurricane season, the average peak. So we're not that far away. But this thing could end up getting very close to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, there's a problem with that, and I've talked about, I'm not going to complain about the rain that it's a river of rain that's been running through the southeast. But there's a lot of places right now in the U.S., it's like an early fall. And a lot of comments last night in the video when we were talking about the different things happening. Half of the comments, it seemed like, were about leaves are turning too quick. Canadian geese are flying south too quick. Things like that. Go in and read dozens and dozens of comments from around the nation, and some are from other nations, about it looks like winter is going to come early and it's going to come hard. They're talking about animal behavior, from wild animals, squirrels to cattle, and things like that. Preparing, getting ready for a very cold winter. We got to get through this first. But what this rain that we're dealing with is almost like a winter rain that sets in for about a week, guys. It becomes dreary, and cabin fever almost sets in. That's what it feels like here in central Mississippi now. It's been over a week of almost continuous rain. The last few days it's been extra heavy, and it's going to continue for another day or two. We're going to look at why that is happening. But if I were, like I said, I'm above 300 feet sea level, but I'm on one of the highest hills in the county. There's a lot of folks that are along the creeks and rivers here. And I would be very concerned if I were one of you. And we have friends and family people that are here and that we have checked on and will continue to check on, because they could quickly come here if they're in danger and be high and dry. And that's what you need to check on, friends, in your area now. Southern Louisiana, guys, you know, if you're from that area or anybody's ever watched the History Channel with swamp people about alligator hunting, it's all flat. It's all water. You're lucky to have a few places that are a few feet above sea level. And now you're also dealing with New Orleans, which is below sea level. But we need to look at that map a moment. First, let's look at the Atlantic map. And guys, I'm not sure if you can hear the rain on our roof or not. It's very loud in here. I have my headphones on in the studio, but I can hear it. I'm not sure if you can. But the system that we're concerned about is here. Right there. That's the one that may come through the Windward Islands and get into the Caribbean. This is the one that came through the Azores and is kind of running out of steam here. And this one that's back on land they're concerned about is right here on the very edge of the globe, right there. So that could be one of those Atlantic storms that really pick up some steam. But again, I think it's kind of far north to get into what would be a threat to the U.S. Now, notice this continuous river of moisture that's coming through here. And I'm on a hill. It's a wet, muddy mess. Everything's very damp. The humidity's 100%. You can't do anything. Even the dogs are grouchy. Again, cabin fever, is setting in. But when we look at the amount of moisture through some of the infrared radar imaging, you'll see what I'm talking about. there's a couple areas that we just want to pay attention to. There's a very high spin in low pressure right here coming off the tip of Cuba, or the western half of Cuba is actually involved. As long as it stays dry, it won't be a big problem there. But again, this system right here, we're going to have to pay very close attention to. Now, this is the continental United States, and I've got it to where you can see in infrared, and you can see the cloud cover. Of course, the reds are the highest amount of moisture. And what I've seen here in the South, guys, and again, you've got several million people in the Southeast at New Orleans and Baton Rouge, Jackson, Gulfport, Biloxi, Mobile, Alabama, and Pensacola, Florida. Other cities I'm not mentioning, Vicksburg, Natchez. But this goes into all the way through Alabama, but your heaviest rain is here along the coast now, just moving over Lake Pontchartrain. But notice how it's reforming. And what we've got is a half dry low pressure system spinning. And it's maybe hard to see, but right here this thing is rotating counterclockwise. This half is dry, but when it dips down into the Gulf, we see this moisture starting to reform along this line here. And it's just been continuous. Again, if I were in a low-lying area anywhere in this area, I'd be very watchful. There's flash flood warnings and flash flood watches out everywhere. Now notice in the news lately is about the drought in Mexico itself. And we had the storm come in that was projected to go up the Rio Grande River. It didn't make it that far. But this weather coming up now is going to make it into the Rio Grande area. And notice in Arizona, guys, right here, you've got, say you're in Phoenix, you've got moisture coming from the north, from the Sedona area, up along that at Cottonwood in that area, and you've got moisture coming from the south of you out of Mexico. You've got some building up into the northeast. Check this out, right there. And then there's offshore moisture, but again, it feels more like our seasons are changing quicker, and some people have said they've asked the question, what are you doing, Bandit? That's our black and white husky pup. What you need, baby? What you need? He just wants to see what we're going on. He's looking at the radar. Anyway, guys, it's like it's a winter rain setting in. That's what it feels like here. And many people have talked about the leaves are falling too early. Grass is drying up in animal behavior. So if we get an early winter, will that mean a longer and colder winter? It very well could. The animals seem to know a lot more than our weather people lately. Now, something else I want to talk about that it does not have anything to do with this particular weather. But a video I did back in the latter years of the Obama administration, we were talking about there was a lot of dogs barking in Congress, and they had a loud bark, but they had no teeth. Remember that? We remember Trey Gowdy trying to get information out of HRC, things like that. And we saw Matt Gaetz in there. We saw different people come and go. Some are correspondents now, different news channels. Some names I'm leaving out. Jim Jordan, Paul Rand. And they have always been, to me, what I'm seeing now, and especially a report that came out today, and I've always said they were a lot of bark and no bite. We would see days and months of taxpayer-paid investigations on C-SPAN, but nobody ever went to jail. Nobody really ever got in trouble. A couple of lower-ranking FBI officers got kicked out after Trump came in, but they're basically back on the scene now, having input. Now, guys, again, about half of the Republican toothless barking dogs have said, even though, and you can see it in the headlines, CNN everywhere, that even though Fauci's retiring in December, they're still going to come after him, right? That's all we've heard, and we've heard them bring him up before the House and Senate dozens of times in the last 2 years. Paul Rand right here and his wife, you see there. And now he's threatening again, I'm going to get you even though you're retiring. But guys, it's just like I told you in the video last night. Things are not what they seem. And why have they, even when the Republicans were in power, did this bunch never get anything done other than wasting a lot of taxpayer dollars. Because his wife, as soon as the COVID broke out, we'll read part of this, invested in Gilead. You know who that is? That's who makes remdesivir, part of the treatment. Now, this article is not brand new, but this tells you how much chance, about like a snowball rolling downhill to hell, has of making it past the bark. Senator Rand Paul revealed Wednesday that his wife bought stock in Gilead Sciences, which makes an antiviral drug used to treat COVID-19. On February 26, 2020, before the threat from the coronavirus was fully understood by the public and before it was classified as a pandemic by the World Health Organization. Guys, did you think the Republicans, these barking, toothless dogs, did not know what was coming? And what did they do? Start investing to make money off the destruction. This disclosure in a filing with the Senate came 16 months after the 45-day reporting deadline set forth in the Stock Act, which is designed to combat insider trading. He wasn't even going to talk about it. Somebody called him and he had to mention it. Experts in corporate and security laws said the investment, and especially the delayed reporting of it, undermined trust in government and raised questions about whether the Kentucky Republicans' family had sought to profit from non-public information. What did I say? Non-public information before the looming health emergency and plans by the U.S. government to combat it. Guys, do you think these guys are going to do anything besides soak up taxpayer money and get wealthy from bribes and from every other means possible, lobbying, deals here and there, and with other nations? Do you really think that? And I know my listeners do not, but this is just another point of people saying, well, the Republicans are coming back in, but look at the rhinos that we have in there. What's going to happen unless there's a new blood infusion from a different stock of Republican politicians? We may see some of that. We don't know. We thought with the younger generation of Matt Gaetz and those boys that you'd see something different. But all you've seen is Rand Paul after Fauci, and the biggest barker, Jim Jordan, still there barking, never done anything in his life, I don't think, guys. Do you? Do you know anything Paul Rand's done, or Rand Paul's done besides get his butt whipped in his own yard? Remember that? That's about the only thing I ever remember him doing anything of. So you guys in Kentucky, think about what I'm telling you. They knew it was coming before it hit. They invested to make money off of destruction and death. Think about it. We've got a lot of decisions to make, and you better be leaning on Jesus and not any man that you see. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up, guys. Be safe.